dancing. Dancers came from as far away as Swaziland and Cape Town to vie for championship titles, though the titles weren't the only things they were competing for. Radios, tape players, television sets, air tickets, and over 10,000 rands worth of prize money were just some of the prizes awaiting the best of the best. When the music stopped and the dust from 1,400 feet finally settled, we asked the organisers how they thought the competition was received.
It was very well received. Normally at a competition you get the people saying this couple danced well or that couple danced well. They normally talk about the couples. And we found that people were talking about the competition and not as much as the couples.
Mark and Lilian Dooley, who head up the ballroom dancing division of the Arts Council, were responsible for the dancing weekend.
We wanted to expose all the dancers in Bophuthatswana to a very high standard of dancing so that they could find where their goal was. I mean, if you're able to see a very high standard of dancing, then you realize where you're going to. And we have so many dancers in Bophuthatswana. We wanted all of them to be a part of a major championship in such a perfect surrounding as Sun City.
The event was a high-class affair, complete with evening dresses and tuxedos, and an occasion of this standard would not be complete without a cocktail party filled with dignitaries and beautiful women. Jonathan Proctor, chairman of the Arts Council, gave the welcoming speech, thanking those involved with the project.
All that remains for me to do is to thank those members of the ballroom dancing community and of the financial community that have supported us. This is a collaborative effort between the Arts Council and sponsors, and I think it's only appropriate that we mention these people because we are wanting to encourage sponsorship of the arts. We are also wanting to encourage ballroom dancing.
Within hours of the last tango and the final foxtrot, and with nothing but praise ringing in the organisers' ears, plans are well underway for the second Ballroom Dancing Championship, which promises to be even bigger and better than the first.
Well, next year's going to be even better than this year, I shall say firstly. We're planning to have 5 adjudicators out, one of them being the couple which is the undefeated world 10 dance champions, David Sycamore and Denise Weavers. And then we would hope to have another 3 adjudicators from the UK, so we have a panel of 5. And we already have some wonderful prizes promised by our sponsors that will be better than this year, so we hope to make it more exciting for the competitors that are going to come and dance.
Even though next year's plans to be bigger, this year's competition will always be fondly remembered.
We went out there, we showed the rest of the world that we exist as ballroom dancers and that we've got the potential to be very good dancers, and we're going to channel it and we're going to get there.
Stephen and Lindsey Hillier are professional ballroom dancing champions, and among the many championships that they have won is the World Championship all of 3 times. Good evening and welcome to Panorama.
Good evening.
Good evening. What are you actually doing in Bophuthatswana?
Well, at the weekend we were here to judge and demonstrate at the Open Bophuthatswana Ballroom Dancing Championships that was held in Sun City at the Super Bowl. So we've actually finished that part of our tour here.
And what did you think of the caliber of the dancers was there?
Well, some of them are actually very, very good. There's so many children now dancing that you get all the grades. There were novice grades up to the championship grades, and so some of the lower ones, they need a little bit more work on their feet and their posture to stand up better. But there are some very, very talented young dancers here.
Lindsey, how did you get started in dancing?
Well, we both started as children, of course not dancing together. And then we met when I was about 16. And we started dancing together then. But I started with ballet and stage work, and Stephen started with the ballroom dancing. And then together.
An interesting thing, which I'm sure a lot of people would like to know, is that since you dance together, if you have a problem with your dancing, does it go back into the home situation, or you've sorted that out, basically?
I think over the years we've learnt to sort it out. Of course, with our business, we do spend almost 24 hours a day together, working together, practicing together, studying and learning together. And sometimes after practice, we may feel we've we're a little bit upset with each other and we may be a bit quiet going home in the car. But I think we've always had a sort of unspoken rule that once we've got home, we've tried to put any problems behind us that were connected with dancing and look forward to the next day and rehearsing again.
Yeah.
Try and sort them out the next day. So
it works.
yes.
What are the preparations that go into the championships that you've done so many?
Yes.
And
well, we're preparing all the time, really. This is our job at the moment, it's our profession. But when we were amateurs, we used to train very hard before the championships, particularly up to about 3 days before. And then more or less all the work is done then, and perhaps just short practice the day before a competition, and then we would dance. But we're in training, you see, all the time, and so our muscles are toned and fit, and we're ready to go almost at any time. So.
I think before the major championships we do try to work 2 or 3 hours a day together on our performance. Then we have a lot of thought with the preparation for costumes, our stamina, depending on how long the event is going to be, because it's very important you have enough stamina.
We actually train in a gymnasium. We've done lots of work in gymnasium, just a very good workout, total preparation for dancing.
you're retired. What do you mean by that, actually?
Well, we're not 65, that's for sure. But we're not competing anymore. We competed for a long time. And so now we're concentrating on demonstrating. And we travel all over the world teaching and lecturing and judging. But not competing anymore.
Lindsey, you being the lady, perhaps you could tell us about what goes into your costumes, the selection of them, perhaps.
Yes, well, for our events worldwide and the Worlds and Europeans, of course, costumes are very important, especially at a very high level. Most of the dresses consist of very soft chiffon with ostrich feathers, trimmings, sequins and stones. They're very, very soft now. But it really depends which level you're at. At the very high level, costumes are important. But when you first learn to dance, at home we have a restriction where the children especially, and especially whilst they're growing, the boys would be in a white shirt and nice black trousers, bow tie, and the ladies would be in a leotard and skirt. I think that's quite important because otherwise going to great expense is almost wasted on children. But for our own costumes, we really try to go to town on them, try and have something different.
Perhaps one of you could tell us where one goes to qualify as a dancer. What are the first steps that one should take?
Well, to qualify for what?
For, you know,
to learn to
yes,
dance,
that's right.
you say?
Yes, yes. In England, we have many, many schools, and most of the children visit one of the local schools, and they all have professionally qualified teachers. And here in Bophuthatswana, they are training dancers to become qualified to teach the children, and they would go through certain medal tests, like a medal test system. And so I think the best idea would be to try to find a qualified teacher with perhaps the Imperial Society of Ballroom Dancing, which is world famous, and that would probably be the best way to start.
Yes, the Arts Council here seems to be doing a marvellous job at helping to educate people to be fully qualified professionals and to really encourage dancing. I think it's a marvellous thing.
And what is a good age to start?
Any age, really. I started ballet and stage when I was 4 years old. I think the younger you start, really, the more disciplined you can become. And if you have the correct exercises and you learn to stand properly, it's very important.
Stephen, you mentioned earlier that there were things that you, or was it you, Lindsey, things that you particularly liked about the couples here in their dancing. What were those?
Well, actually, most of them have very good rhythm.
Wonderful.
Yes, they've got super rhythm. And they show sort of an enthusiasm. Some of the young children, very enthusiastic. And when I was judging, I was watching the couples, and they were watching me as much as I was watching them. Their eyes were flashing towards us, trying to get our attention. So I think they really enjoy it. They show that they enjoy it.
Yes.
And that's very good. I think that they have to always be working on their feet when they're very young children. Some of the more advanced dancers, they were very, very good.
And very quickly, we're about to run out of time. Would you say that one specializes in any particular type of ballroom dancing?
Well, ballroom dancing consists of two styles. There is the ballroom style, which is waltz, foxtrot, tango, quickstep, and the Viennese waltz, and Latin American, which is the samba, paso doble, jive, rumba, cha-cha-cha.
I'm afraid I'll have to interrupt you there. We've unfortunately run out of time. Stephen, Lindsey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Of the adult amateur divisions, Kevin Juul and Glynis Adams.
Yes, I was very impressed with the standard of the dancing. It has improved a lot.
Before the contest, we were able to catch the winners preparing for the competition with the dance instructor, Mark Dooley. Now here are Mr. Juul and Miss Adams displaying their winning performance.
Here with me in the studio, Mrs. Lilian Dooley, the director of ballroom dancing in Bophuthatswana. In fact, Lilian was one of the coaches to the winning couple in the insert we just saw. Good evening and welcome to Panorama.
Hi, Michelle.
Perhaps we could start off with asking you exactly where ballroom dancing originated.
Well, it originated in the stately ballrooms of Europe, and that is old-time ballroom dancing. We dance a modern version thereof that's very exciting and energetic and super to watch, and also, I must say, a lot of fun to do.
And what is freestyle dancing, for instance? You also coach that?
Yes, we do. Freestyle dance is a new dance form that we're introducing to Bophuthatswana. It's a lot of fun. One doesn't actually have to have a partner to dance, so you can actually dance all on your own. And it's done to the latest pop music, and it's a lot of fun to exercise that way, I must say.
And then perhaps you could describe for us Latin American dancing.
Latin American dancing is the dancer's interpretation of the earthy Latin American rhythms, let me put it that way. We have 5 dances in Latin American, starting with the cha-cha. We have a rumba, which is the slowest of all of them. Then the samba, which originates in Brazil, if you just think of Rio, the carnival. And the paso doble, which is the interpretation of a bullfight, where we have the man as the matador and the lady as the cape. And the last dance in Latin America.
Differentiate between ballroom dancing and Latin American dancing.
Ballroom dancing, we dance together in closed hold, and the couple has to move in complete unison. We can't move up and down from one another, we have to move together. And the movement, or the rise and fall, and all of that happens in the feet and the legs, and we move as one. Latin American is a lot freer. We move apart from one another, so we dance openly. And we have a central body rhythm where we display contractions and a lot of hip action to give us the rhythm, to show us how we do the rhythm in the music.
Yeah, you and your husband trained Kevin and Glynis, for instance.
Right.
And what sort of training was involved for this competition?
Well, there's actually weeks of training. Actually, the dancers need to practice every day to maintain a good standard. On the organizational part of this competition, it took also weeks, I must say, to put everything together. And we insist that our dancers practice every day, and they have as many lessons as they can, and also attend as many workshops and practice sessions as possible.
And the Arts Council, what is its role?
The Arts Council's role in general is to promote all the arts in Bophuthatswana. You know, all the arts that people are really interested in, they're backing 100%.
And where dancing is concerned, how are you involved with the Arts Council?
Well, we are here to train all the dancers in Bophuthatswana and to lift up the standard into the international standard. And we're here to also run competitions. And our aim next year is to actually run a teacher's training course, which will probably run for about 4 years, because we find there are a tremendous amount of people that are interested in teaching. And they're going along without too much guidance at the moment. So we're very much interested in helping them and putting them on this training course and inviting examiners from the UK to come and qualify them, so they'll become internationally qualified.
So these are the long-term...
That's right, yes.
So a person who would like to perhaps become a dancer in Bophuthatswana, for instance, how does one go about it?
Well, in the 12 different regions of Bophuthatswana, there are about 5 or 6 clubs in each region, and each one has its own chairman and affiliated members. But what I suggest is if anybody who is interested in ballroom, Latin American or freestyle dance is welcome to phone us at the Arts Council, and we'll put them in touch with the person that's in their area.
Perhaps you'd like to give us the phone number.
Right, the telephone number is 282302.
282302.
That's right, yes.
Okay. And I'd like to ask you another thing. How does a dancer progress from being an amateur to a professional?
Well, we compete for a number of years as an amateur. I've been competing for the past 15 years, and my husband keeps on telling me it's been 15 years for the past few years. So I won't be lying by telling you how many years I've been dancing. But you rise to the highest that you can in your section, and you become national champion, and you hopefully represent your country overseas at the World Championships and the British Championships in the UK. And once you've held that title for a number of years, then it's time, you have the experience then to turn professional and start training people.
Where competitions are involved, what does the judge actually look for?
The judge will always be looking for basic technique in anything. That's the most important thing. You know, we find a lot of our dancers think that the flamboyant steps and the splits and the million spins are the most important thing. Of course, they are very attractive to look at, but the adjudicators from the UK and most of the judges actually look for good basic technique. That is the foundation of a champion.
And what are your plans, I mean, for you and your husband in the long-term way dancing is concerned?
Well, we have put ourselves here in Bophuthatswana, and we're prepared to live here and help and to bring the standard up as high as we can. And eventually we'd like to take dancers from Bophuthatswana to compete overseas. And we're running very exciting competitions here. We're starting the first Open Bophuthatswana Championships at Sun City on the 25th of August. That is going to be the biggest competition held in the Southern Hemisphere. I'm very excited to say. I'm actually looking forward to it, yes. We are spending 15,000 Rand on our professional purses. So the first prize in each professional section, ballroom and Latin, will be 5,000 Rand. And our competitors, all our tiny tots, we're looking after them as well. The competition will start at 10 in the morning at Sun City, and they will be winning international dance records and cassettes. That is all the strict tempo music that is required for the dancer. And we also, in making sure that they can win things that are useful to them, for example, radio tape decks and television sets and videos of dancing from the UK. So that's going to give them a good incentive to practice hard.
And how do we compare in Southern Africa, where international standards are concerned?
Well, let's put it this way. As far as talent goes, we have an enormous amount of talent in Bophuthatswana, untapped talent, and an enormous amount of interest. And I think with those two things, we can go a long way.
I noticed that they had some quite, tiny tots dancing. The age, how important is it?
Well, we don't worry too much about age. I think as long as the heart is willing, that's the main thing. We have our tiniest one at the moment, our little competitor, is 6 years old, and she's actually wonderful. And it's just through practice that she manages to stay in time, and she actually won the competition on Saturday. this little 6-year-old.
Well, thank you, Lilian. I'm afraid we've run out of time. And thank you for joining us on Panorama.
It's a pleasure.
For any of you interested in dancing, please don't hesitate to contact Lilian, Dooley at the Bophuthatswana Arts Council.